Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandan Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandan Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandan Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandan Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandan Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhe Shyam Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Go Premanande, Jai Vishnupat Paramahams Parajikacharya, Ashtotra Shatashi Shrimad Shila Bhai Charanand Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Shila Thakur Haridasa Ki Jai. Prem Se Koho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Umanamai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Samsthapak Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai. Shri Lalita Vishakha Sahita Radha Shyam Sundar Ki Jai. Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. We are fortunate to be here in Sri Vrindavan Dham and hearing from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta Purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're on chapter 5 of the Ādi-līlā. That is describing the glories of Lord Balaram. And we've already heard to some degree about how the Lord is expanding. And first of all, Lord Krishna expands as Balaram. And then Balaram further expands into the Chaturvyuhas and other rupas like the Purusha avatars and Mahasankarshana and others. So now we're continuing the same discussion, and by way of explaining text number 13, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is elaborating on the very nature of Vaikuntha and its surrounding environs, and that's what we're talking about in today's verse. I'm just going to go back to text 13 just to bring everybody to some context in case you weren't here last week. Mayatite vyapi Vaikuntha loke purnaishwarje Sri Chaturvyuha madhye rupam yasyodbhati sankarshanakhyam tam Sri Nityananda Ramam prapadye. That means, I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshana, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. And then he discussed the nature of Paravyoma. Krishna Loka is divided into what 3 sections? Dwaraka, Mathura, and Gokula, yes. And he's describing the transcendental body of Lord Krishna. Balaram is not different from Lord Krishna. He describes the spiritual world with a verse from Brahma Samhita. Anybody remember? Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha lakshavrateshu surabhiri vipalayantam lakshmi sahasrashata sambrahma sevyamanam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Certainly anyone who lives in Vrindavan should know this verse. But even those who visit, we would do well to meditate on that verse. And Srila Prabhupada gives us a wonderful multi-page purport on that verse in text number 22 of this chapter. So you can go back and review that in your own time. But to summarize, the nature of this spiritual abode, Vaikuntha or Shweta Dweep, we call it sometimes, Gokula, Goloka, Krishna Loka, all the same place. So, the nature of this Vrindavan Dham is that every building here is made out of what? It's like we've got construction site over there. It looks like bricks and concrete and steel, right? Rebars. But actually it's all Chintamani, all of it. I live in one of those houses, Chintamani house. And outside of my house there is a Kalpavriksha tree in the form of a champa tree. We have so many champas here. which we use to offer flowers unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So this is the next thing. Chintamani. What kind? Kis prakara ka sadma? Chintamani prakara sadma. Houses made out of transcendental gems, touchstone. And surrounding that, lakshavriteshu, kalpavriksha lakshavriteshu. There are lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of kalpavrikshas. These trees are not ordinary trees. Anything you want, these trees will give you. Just like the dust out of which these bricks are made, out of which these buildings are made, every speck of dust has such potency to fulfill your desires. That's why it's called Chintamani. That's the meaning of Chintamani. Spiritual gems. Spiritual gems fulfill your desires. And then, in addition to that, maybe I would say the main thing, not just the houses and the trees, but who's in those houses and what are they doing? Lakshmi sahasra shata samprama sevyamanam. They're running around, sevyamanam, ashtavyast. Samprama in Sanskrit means all, in a flurry. They're all doing this all the time. The Lakshmi expansions in the form of what kind of girls? Gopis, milkmaids, spiritual cowherd girls. These are the main residents of the holy Dham. So he's discussed that at some length. And then finally, he comes to the point of today's verse that aside from Krishna's Goloka or Gokula Dham, there's Mathura, Dwarka, Gokula. There are Vaikuntha planets, and outside of those, inside those Vaikuntha planets, Lord Narayana's multi-expansions resides. And the Chaturvyuhas are also there. And so this is Narayan and his Leelas there. But outside of Vaikuntha even, what is there? Outside of Vaikuntha. What does he describe next? This is in the last several verses. Narayan in Vaikuntha, he's bestowing what kind of benedictions upon all the living entities? It was described in text number 30. He gives 4 things. He gives you opulence equal to his own, if that's what you want, if that's what you will settle with, I should say. And he gives you a form looking just like his also, if that's what you're prepared to accept. And he allows you to stay with him all the time, if that's what you choose. And he also allows you to remain in Vaikuntha, in the spiritual realm, instead of this one. 4 kinds of liberation are sometimes acceptable to Vaishnavas. When are they acceptable and when are they not acceptable? They're acceptable when they're favorable for the order of our Guru. That's when they're acceptable. Because when we take initiation, we give up our lives to someone else. And from that point on, he makes all the decisions. And his service is paramount in our minds. That's what Krishna calls in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Those persons who have that focus on, we call it Guru Nishtha, focus on fulfilling faith in the spiritual master and fulfilling his instructions. Those are the persons who can go back to Godhead if it's favorable for their service, because if it's not favorable for that service, they won't accept that liberation. And then there's another 5th kind of, some people call it liberation. It's quite clear from this passage that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami doesn't subscribe to that idea. There's a 5th kind of liberation. What is that called? Sayujya Mukti. And it's defined differently by different Vaishnavas, different Sampradayas. But in our line, Sayujya Mukti means the liberation of being absorbed in the Lord's effulgence, Brahmajyoti. And that is not at all favorable for anyone's devotional service, no matter who your guru is. So we have to consider that. Because there's no variety in Brahmajyoti. There's only one thing, and that is Sat, existence. Well, two things Jiva Goswami says in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. Sat and also chit, some degree of chit is there, awareness. So you're aware and you're free from the material miseries, but that's all. It's I don't want to say a static condition, but there's no variety there. And we are by nature anandamaya bhyasat. We are by nature pleasure seeking, which means you have to have varieties. Just like, raise your hand if you love rasgulla. Raise your hand, everybody. Okay, now raise your hand if you're willing to only eat rasgulla for the rest of your life. One person, okay. There must be some Krishna conscious rasa there that I'm not aware of. But yeah, I mean, we need variety. This is the point. Vibhinna. We're the vibhinamshas, so we need vibhinna rasas. So, all right, I'm taking a long time to introduce today's topic, but we're on text number 34, and I'm just going to read the Bengali very quickly. Surya mandala jena bahire nirvishesha bhitare shunyera ratha dish abhishesha. That means, this Brahmajyoti we're talking about, it's like the homogeneous effulgence around the sun. But inside the sun, there are chariots, horses, and other opulences of the sun god. So in this sense only, you can say that even Krishna Loka is actually inside the Brahmajyoti. So there is variety there, but not if you're absorbed in that Brahmajyoti only. What do you have to do? You have to get mercy. And you have to desire the variety that, the devotional service for which all variety actually exists. We have the postulation that variety exists for us to enjoy. But that's not the case, actually. Everything is meant for the enjoyment of Radha Krishna. That we should know. And we will not enter that spiritual world, as a matter of fact, until we know this. So first of all, we have to take it on faith, because we're all very covered, and we are misidentified with these material minds and bodies. And so this is most unattractive proposition to us. But if we can accept it humbly, and if we can try to follow this process, Krishna tells us so many times throughout Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere, that bhaktyamam abhijanati, we will understand everything. Asamshayam samagram mam yathajñasati tatrinu. If you want to understand me in full, without any doubts, Krishna says, just hear. That's where bhakti actually begins. You hear submissively. You open up the Bhagavad Gita as it is, or Srimad Bhagavatam, or Chaitanya Charitamrita, or Nectar of Devotion, or so many books Srila Prabhupada has given us, and simply hear. Then we get the intelligence what to do next. And the next thing for your information, I think you all know, is we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So let me give Prabhupada some voice here. I'm talking too much. Outside of Vaikuntha, this is his purport, the abode of Krishna, which is called Paravyoma, is the glaring effulgence of Krishna's bodily rays. This is called the Brahmajyoti. The transcendental region of that effulgence is called Siddhaloka or Brahmaloka. When impersonalists achieve liberation, what kind of liberation? We talked about it. Sayujya Mukti. When impersonalists achieve liberation, they merge into that Brahmaloka effulgence. This transcendental region is undoubtedly spiritual, but it contains no manifestations of spiritual activities or variegatedness. It's compared to the glow of the sun. Within the sun's glow is the sphere of the sun, where one can experience all sorts of varieties. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has already mentioned this. So before we proceed further, let me just offer quickly Mangalacharana Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. That pretty much covers everyone, doesn't it? It's such a wonderful verse. So, Srila Prabhupada is explaining this Brahmajyoti. It is nothing but the rays from Krishna's own transcendental body. If Krishna's transcendental body can create such a wonderful thing as the spiritual effulgence that is full of all knowledge and peace, then what to speak of Krishna himself? Because believe it or not, we don't really get a chance to test it very much in this material world, but believe it or not, there's not a whole lot to do when you're just peaceful, exclusively peaceful. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm peaceful. I just exist peacefully. And the world, of course, the material variegatedness doesn't allow you to exist peacefully. That's why it's attractive to us, the notion of peace. This is what is, Buddhism is very popular nowadays, isn't it? Buddhism. Because, people are so burnt out by the pungent lifestyles that they lead that they need some peace. This is why people take intoxication also. After all the struggle of the day, you just need to release some pressure somehow and just relax. And so people take shelter of the wrong things, or they dive into the world of illicit sex, or meat eating, or gambling, or all these sinful activities. The best of them will seek release or liberation, and those who are in knowledge, they understand that this is spiritual absorption, spiritual release, spiritual mukti, sayujya mukti. But it doesn't really satisfy the intrinsic longings of the soul. Believe it or not, we do have intrinsic longing. For those of you who are longing for things in this material world, give it some thought. It's natural to want things. It's natural to go for things, to act in such a way that you get things that you want. It's natural to seek the variety that we've also been discussing. Every day we like to have a different thing for lunch, isn't it? If you eat the same thing only. I just came from Tamil Nadu, so every single day, Tamilians here, you can confirm, you can eat sambar, sadam, and some vegetables maybe, chutney, aparam, and tayar sadam zarur hona chahiye. You're going to get your yogurt rice. Even if it's January in the South Pole, you're still going to eat yogurt rice if you're a Tamilian. So it's great. But day after day after day after day, I don't know if I could do that. Yeah, maybe. It does have its appeal. But even worse than that, imagine if there's only sadam and no yogurt. Rice. Sadam means rice. No yogurt. Yeah, I don't think we could get bored of that pretty quickly. And imagine if you can't eat at all. Because you don't have a tongue to eat with, right? No variety, my friends. Think about it. It's, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur actually says, this is hell for a devotee. Narakayate. This kind of liberation, it's not for the devotees. Also another devotee, who is it? Maybe it was Paramananda Das or somebody, one of the Ashtachat poets. He said, Kaha karo Vaikunthe jai. Even if I go to Vaikuntha, what am I going to do there? Jaha nahi e banshivata yumana giri govardhana nanda ki gai. These things are not to be found, even in Vaikuntha. What's to be found there? Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, Sarupya. And of course, Lord Narayan is performing so many pastimes, but devotees of Krishna, they're stuck in a certain way that they can only appreciate Vrindavan. And nothing else will do. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur prays, Yadradhipatyam Vrijapanu Yeno diye prema sukham jananam Yasmin mamasha balavatyatosmin Mamastu Vrindavana eva vasaha. What does it mean? Where the people naturally are imbued with love of Godhead, spontaneous love they have just innately. It's just within them. And where Srimati Radharani is the presiding queen, Vrindavan Dham. And where my own strong desire lies, may that Vrindavan only be my eternal residence. This is what he prays for. So, because he appreciates not only the transcendental variety that is far beyond the comprehension of the impersonalist philosophers, and even beyond the Aishwarya Bhava of the Vaikuntha Bhaktas, who are worshipping Lakshmi Narayanan in great respect and reverence, the intimacy, the variety, and the charm, unique charm of this Vraja life, cow-based life. That's why we call it Goloka. Goloka. What does it mean? Cow world. Cow world. This is Krishna's abode. So this is, devotee will not exchange this for anything. This is the point that he's getting at in all these verses. The whole content of Chaitanya Charitamrita is only to illustrate this. So, we've been discussing Brahmajyoti. Not much of interest there for the devotee. Of course, here's another thing that we should respect also and consider. That you really cannot enter into this Vraja Bhakti until you're actually liberated in Brahman. How do we know this? Where does Krishna say this? Somebody tell me. Yes, very famous. Two or more people already know. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti nivate param. You will enter the realm, or you will get real bhakti, supreme bhakti, Krishna says, when you meet 4 criteria. What are those? First of all, you have to be prasannatma. We're not like that now. Sometimes we're all morose. Sometimes, right? Sometimes we get vexed by all the chinta. Somebody wrote, Diwar par Vrindavan mein, kisi ne likha hai ki chinta mat kara, chintana kijiye. So chinta in the material world, or at least in Hindi world, chinta means anxieties. It has different nuances in different modern Indian languages. In Sanskrit, it means exclusively spiritual things. It doesn't mean anxiety in Sanskrit. But, so in this material world, we have our awareness is absorbed in the anxieties that characterize this material world, and you can't get away from that. So we're not always prasannatma. And what are the symptoms of us not being prasannatma? Kabhi kabhi shochati, kabhi kabhi kankshati, right? Akanksha. Gotta have that. I just gotta have it, right? That's called akanksha. To hanker after something. And what happens when you get that thing that you're hankering so badly for? You find out, 1, it's not everything that it's supposed to be. It doesn't satisfy, actually. Or 2, it is everything that it's stated to be, but then you can't keep it forever because you can't stay forever, or rather your body can't stay forever. Somehow or other you're going to be separated from that thing. Everything. Or 3, you don't even have the karma sufficient to get that thing in the first place. And so you remain on the akanksha platform until you die. And then you come back because all that stuff is still in your mind. So this is the sign, these are the symptoms of us not being Brahman realized. Now, when you are joyful in yourself, what is that? Atmarati-reva syat, Krishna says. When a person is taking pleasure in the self only, in spiritual happiness, that is to say, that person can be prasanatma. That person will not be hankering anymore for things he doesn't have. He'll not be whining or complaining about things that have been taken from him or things that have been lost through the course of time and karma. And that person will therefore, only when these previous three are met, then the fourth qualification is sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Then you can see everyone with equal vision, samadrishti. Our communist friends and our Marxist friends in general, and even our socialist friends, and sometimes even our democratic friends, they always like to tout this idea of seeing everyone equal, all equal, everybody equal, right? Equal rights, we talk about equity, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion, that's another big one. But there's no such thing in this material world. There's no such thing. It is a dream in this material world because everyone is actually envious. And everyone has different karma. Why? Prabhupada is always asking, why is it? Somebody is born with all facilities. Somebody is born with nothing. Some people are born blind. Some people, perfect vision, 20/20. Well, why is this? What is explaining all this variety? There has to be some reason for it all. It's karma. Karma. We create, I should say we manifest, right? They talk about that now. They manifest your reality. Not in the way that they're imagining. And they are imagining it, believe me. But we do manifest our reality by our actions. Because whatever we're doing now create a particular reality that we will experience next. And whatever we've done in the past, that is our reality now. You want to see where you've been? Look in the mirror. That's your past. Fail safe. It never fails. So people have to come to terms with this. In the material world, you cannot have that kind of equality that is so highly touted. Although it is natural to tout that equality because that equality is there, in fact. But it's only there on this Brahma Bhuta platform. That's the thing. The equality of different living entities in any kind of Maya you choose is only on the Brahma platform, Brahma Bhuta platform. If you are a hardcore materialist, absolutely unconcerned with anything spiritual at all, just absorbed in material activities, then your diversity, your variety is going to be simply the results of your karma. And if you are a devotee of Krishna, 100% absorbed in pure devotion to his lotus feet in any one of the, well, we can say 12 rasas, 7 rasas, 5 rasas, take your pick, then your diversity is going to be the result of your own heart's desire, your own devotion. But there's nobody who's actually equal in any sphere. That is a fact, unless you are an impersonalist. This is what we have to understand. So the communists and the Mayavadis actually have something in common, don't they? The same kind of godless aspiration, because that's what it is. To have equality means to erase variety. To erase variety means to erase hierarchy. That's the Marxist agenda. And to erase hierarchy means to erase the superlative. If there is a comparative, then there has to be a superlative. Correct? Is it? If you can compare two things and determine that one is better than the other, then that there has to be, logically, there must be something that is better than all of them. That's called God. So the idea to homogenize everything, that's the Mayavadi idea. And the idea to create a classless society, or the idea to erase all diversity, which is the communist ideal, these actually are only the aspiration to evade God, to run away from God. Either we want to exploit his property, that's called bhoga, or we want to escape his authority, which is called tyaga. Or we can say they're called bhakti and mukti, respectively. But this is the real problem. And that's why Srila Prabhupada says the Mayavadi agenda, or even not what to speak of Mayavad, impersonalist agenda more generally, it's really nothing but an attempt to get God out of the picture. Same project that the materialists have. Same agenda. We should know this very clearly. Everyone understands the difference between the impersonalists and the Mayavadis? What is the difference between an impersonalist and a Mayavadi? Because sometimes in common parlance, we hear these terms so much in Srila Prabhupada's books that we kind of conflate them, but they're not the same thing. Mayavadi is a particular kind of impersonalist, but there are impersonalists who are not offensive. If they were, they could have never taken to devotional service. What is one favorite example Srila Prabhupada gives us? Impersonalists who have taken to devotional service? Chatusanas, the four Kumaras. Yeah, so many actually. So, you can be an impersonalist and just, not have developed the adhikar. I shouldn't say developed, because that indicates that you're using your own volition. Not having been blessed with the adhikar to enter into the realm of bhakti. You can't be like that, for some time at least. But almost invariably, anyone who is attached to that impersonal path will eventually fall, one way or another. Either he falls into Krishna bhakti, which is great, or he falls into Maya, which is not so great. But you cannot stay in this artificial stasis for too long. That's what it is. So, the impersonalists, they're like that. They try to remain in this artificial appreciation of spiritual identity, and that's all they have to work with. But even worse than those are the Mayavadis, because the impersonalists do not deny the transcendental existence of the Lord. The Mayavadis do. It's an offensive philosophy. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ne kaha ki Mayavadi bhashya, what is it? Shankara bhashya shunile hoy sharvanash. Everything will be destroyed once you really seriously entertain this Mayavad philosophy, or even hear it too much. So, this is the distinction between the impersonalists and the Mayavadis. More current, maybe, we have this, what's his name, autobiography of a yogi? Yogananda, yes. So he was an impersonalist, but not a Mayavadi, as far as I know. I believe that he accepted the existence of Krishna. How could a Bengali not do that? So, so anyway, either way, this impersonalism is not going to be very satisfying, and therefore Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is pointing out for us, very apt example. This Brahman effulgence, this Brahmajyoti, it is nothing but the effulgence of Lord Krishna. So the real thing is actually Krishna, not the shining, right? The real thing is the sun and the sky. Yes, the sunshine is also very good, welcome, except maybe in April or May in Vrindavan. But, there's actually something happening inside the sun, which is more than just this light. Inside the sun planet, there's all variety manifested in the divine way that it manifests in the solar orb. We don't know exactly how that works, but we can take it on faith that it's like that. Just like if you go to Varuna Loka, everything is also there, but it's manifested appropriately to that environment. So everything is solar, I should say, solar compliant in the realm of Suryadev, Ravi. So this is what we should know. We only can see from our perspective, we can only see that there's shining, and if we go outside, then we can appreciate there's a big ball in the sky, which is the obvious source of all that shining. That's as far as we can get. And similarly, without the mercy of Krishna's devotees, people cannot get beyond this Brahman conception, and that's why it dominates the spiritual environment in today's society, or in any period of society. It doesn't take a lot of adhikar. Even the demons in Krishna Lila, we can see, practically, they get this kind of liberation. And Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is going to discuss that also next in the coming verses. Very beautiful verses from various places. So this we should appreciate. We have to be Brahman realized, because you cannot cultivate Krishna consciousness in a mature, sustainable, real way until you're actually Brahman realized. So that substrate, adhara, we have our adhara card, right? So adhara means the basis, foundation, substrate. The foundation of Krishna bhakti is actually to be liberated. So then what are we doing here if we're not liberated? Are we not practicing bhakti? Well, yes you are, but you're practicing what I call probate bhakti. We are on probation. We are reformed criminals, or trying to reform at least. And under the sponsorship of a bona fide devotee, we are practicing Krishna consciousness. Really, we are serving the devotee only, exclusively. We don't have the direct connection. It's there, but it's not manifest to us. Kind of like the program is running on your desktop, but it's been double-clicked, so there's no obvious manifestation of it. That's what our Krishna consciousness is like right now. So we have to take shelter of those receptacles of pure bliss and Krishna consciousness in the form of the Lord's pure devotees. And by serving that devotee will take our service and offer it to Krishna on our behalf. It is definitely an indirect link at this point, at least. So we should understand then the real magnitude and importance of this verse. It's given to us by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado. Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Dhyayam stuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam. Vande Guroho Shri Charanarvindam. I'm offering my obeisances into the lotus feet of that person whose mercy is the same thing as Krishna's mercy, Bhagavan's mercy. That's what he says. And without having that person's mercy in this material world, how are you going to attain anything? Kutopi. From where are you going to get it? If not from the Lord's devotee. You'll not get it anywhere, my friends. This is a fact. This is another thing we should establish very clearly. And Chaitanya Charitamrita does establish this. Not only for the impersonalists, but even for the materialists who are fortunate, and even for those of us who have tried to any degree to take to Krishna consciousness, we should know Krishna consciousness is only something that is given to us by a pure devotee until we awaken it on our own, by that pure devotee's mercy. So we're always indebted to the devotees of the Lord, and we're all dependent on their blessings and their mercy in order to appreciate anything. This is what Prabhupada wrote in his 1936 offering before the Mumbai Gaudiya Math, that if I know anything of this first verse of Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Ādi-līlā Govindah sarva karana karanam. It is only by your divine grace. That confirms the same thing that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written in his own commentary on this prayers that we sing every morning. Shri Guru Charana Padma. What kind of ignorance has been removed from us? Ignorance of the fact that there is a Supreme Personality of God in it all. What to speak of the fact that he's Krishna. So this is something that we'll only get through mercy. Practically speaking, I know this from first-hand experience. How so? When I was young, I was interested in Hinduism, and I was avidly reading everything that I could grab on the topic. So I came across many editions of Bhagavad Gita, and I read them. Really tried to understand them, and I found that I could not get anything from any of them, frankly. We just couldn't make any sense of them. Why is that? Because the people who wrote those Bhagavad Gitas also could not make any sense of them. Hey. You have to hear this thing in disciplic succession. And as soon as I got one Bhagavad Gita that was actually coming in disciplic succession, sab kuch bilkul sparsh ho gaya. So everything was immediately clear, like someone turned on the lights. And ever since then, I can appreciate, having read all the major commentaries on Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, that whatever Srila Prabhupada is writing, basically he's only paraphrasing his predecessors. It's real, it's authentic, it's panamparagata. Therefore it works. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this Bhagavad Gita you can understand because you're a devotee, we mentioned already. Only a devotee can understand. So if you get it from a devotee, then you can understand. What does it really mean? Krishna is a person. He is the Supreme Person. That's the part we're uncomfortable about. Because we would like to occupy that position ourselves. But he is the Supreme Friend. He is the Supreme Controller of everything. If we know this, then we get peace. Not just trying to artificially fix your mind on a candle flame, or trying to artificially identify aham brahmasmi, or trying to erase all thoughts from your minds, or any of these other crazy things that people do in Kali Yuga to gain mental peace. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami shakalaya shanto. Krishna bhakta nishkama aitaibo shanto. He says in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Whether you want bhukti, that means bhoga, enjoyment, or whether you want liberation, or whether you're one of these yogis looking for some siddhis of some sort, you're not going to have peace. Sorry. But a devotee who embraces what the Lord wants instead of what I want, that person gains peace. It's the same point. How does he say it in Bhagavad Gita? Bhoktaram yamyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam. Here's the point that we're coming to. He is the supreme controller. You cannot control everything. Xi Jinping would love to control the sun. I think he's heartily engaged in the project of creating an artificial sun right now. Have you heard of this, scientists? Yeah, this is what communism does to your head. So, it's not going to work, my friend. Even if you can create something like that, the AI sun or something crazy, you can't control everything. In the end, you are going to die also. You can't stop that. Somebody else is controlling that. Who is it? The person who's controlling everything is the person who is the enjoyer of everything. That's another hard pill for us to swallow. We're not the enjoyer. God is the enjoyer. So, but once we can take that, once we can actually accommodate that, then we can realize the even better thing about this peace formula. What is the last one? Suridam sarvabhutanam. He has love. That's the essence of it. And he has love for you. And he has love. What does he want? He doesn't need anything. But one thing he wants that he doesn't have, your love. That's your power over him. And that's his singular weakness, God's singular weakness, if there is one, is that he cannot resist pure love. If you make your love pure, you can control him. We see it every day when you do parikrama of the temple and you see Krishna's approaching Nanda with the paduka upon his head, correct? Yashoda Nanda. And this just tickles their hearts to no end to see how, well-behaved their boy is. The gopis, the younger gopis, I mean to say, they have a different perspective about how well-behaved Krishna is. But at least the parents, they see this and they become so blissed out. And Krishna's only purpose is to give them that bliss. That's his only purpose. Just like, why does he call his own planet Goloka, if not to emphasize the importance of his cows? Cows. Cows are they're the essence of this Krishna bhakti. Cows. Without protecting cows, without serving the cows, especially Vrajaki Gai, how are we going to go back to Godhead? Because it's Goloka, it's their planet. So, anyway, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He has love for his friends, he has love for his servants, he will take care of us. He will reciprocate with us. Love for his parents, love for his lovers especially. The chief of which is Srimati Radharani. So this is her place. So instead of wasting time temporarily, because it usually is temporary, in this material world, or even in the Brahmajyoti, because that's also temporary in most cases. Not many people can stick it out in the Brahmajyoti for very long. We have an alternative. And that alternative has been given us, I think, exclusively by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, in the form of this process of Krishna consciousness, and the narrations that he has also spent his long hours and much effort in translating this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Those of you who are inside ISKCON, you know the whole story. Very tremendous yajna. Srila Prabhupada underwent such austerities to get this book out, only so that we can read it, so please do that. Yatha-jnasasi tachrinu, again. This is the point. All right, we are out of time now, but we've tried to discuss a little bit from this one verse. I was actually given permission to go on to other verses, but looks like we took care of it in one verse. Brahmajyoti. And so we'll hear more later on. It gets better and better. Don't go away. Even if you do go away, please stay tuned in. ISKCON Vrindavan has its YouTube channel. All the classes are broadcast every day in this way. If you want to know Krishna in full, free from doubt, just hear. But do it every day, every single day. Okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions or any comments? Yes, sir?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for a beautiful lecture. Prabhuji, one doubt in your lecture, like this, if a sadhaka, who has taken shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, but he is not liberated, so when he tries to communicate with God, like when he is standing in front of deities or when he is chanting, so he is just praying to Krishna. So is there any connection or communication is there or not there? Because he is not liberated, but he has taken shelter of spiritual master.
Yes. Yeah, because he's taken shelter of a spiritual master, the connection is definitely there. But it's through the grace, through the divine grace, through his divine grace, the spiritual master. And what about for people who don't have a spiritual master? Well, the connection is always there. It is there. But it's a nascent connection. It's we can say it's a potential connection. The potential is there to develop, but it's not yet. It's kind of like a seed which is under the ground, but it's germinated. It will come up, but it's just not come up yet. So it's like that, we can say. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
Pranam Maharaj, thanks for wonderful class. You said that difference between personalist and impersonalist and Mayavadi,
Yes.
and particularly Mayavadi are offensive because they reject the form of the Lord. Any other sign to identify Mayavadi or differentiate them from impersonalist?
Well, they are impersonalists, but the Mayavadis are the offensive kind of impersonalists because they deny the Lord. Shankaracharya invented this unique philosophy, and he's not to blame either. Lord Vishnu instructed Shankar, Shiva, to incarnate as a Brahmin in Kali Yuga and to create a philosophy that resembles Buddhism but accepts Vedic authority. That's a very tough task. And it's actually pretty brilliant of how Shankaracharya managed to do that. How to screw this meaning out of the Vedas because they're so clear. But he invented this philosophy only for the purpose of misleading those who are already inclined to reject God altogether. So, but by way of explaining his interpretation of Vedanta, he had to deny the transcendental form of the Lord. And that's the problem. So that's why we have all regard for Shankaracharya, but we have no regard for his philosophy. Kind of the same situation with Lord Buddha, no? Because Buddha incarnated, and he had a particular purpose to fulfill, and he fulfilled that purpose. But if you follow his teachings, or what we were told are his teachings, we don't really know what were his teachings. But that will not really bring us to Krishna bhakti, at least not pure bhakti. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
All right. Yes, Palini Mataji is here.
Prabhuji, thank you for your typically awesome class. I've heard, I haven't really read it anywhere that I can give a reference to, but I've heard that Christianity can actually be considered impersonalism. And I don't know exactly how to explain that. Have you heard that?
Not from Srila Prabhupada.
Okay.
But neither have I heard from Srila Prabhupada that Christianity is Vaishnavism. At least not Krishna bhakti for sure. Maybe you can say in some abstract sense. You see, the problem with Christianity, and the reason that somebody might say that it's impersonal, is that they really don't have any information about God.
Right.
Neither do they have a cohesive process, scientific process that you can follow to advance. So it's just, they have some faith and they have some basic principles. That's all Jesus gave them. And, that's okay for some people. That's all they can handle anyway. That's all they want even. But they really don't know anything about Christianity. That's why I left Christianity.
Thank you so much. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
I have another one here. You don't know anything about anyone, Prabhupada said, how are you going to love that person? You don't have no concrete details, nothing. This is the problem.
Thank you, Prabhu, so much. In Gopal Champu, when Srila Jiva Goswami writes, when Krishna is there on the bed, from his toe, the blue light is coming in, the whole room is filled with the blue light. And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear everything you said.
Okay. In Gopal Champu,
Yes.
when Srila Jiva Goswami writes on the appearance of Lord Krishna, he is lying on the bed of the Yashoda Maiya, and from his toenail, the blue light is filling the whole room, and the gopis are looking at that. So
And the what?
Gopis are looking at that.
Looking, okay.
Yeah, so this Brahmajyoti
Is this boy okay?
is nothing in front of that, Maharaj, Prabhu.
No, gopis are thinking like that. Is he okay? They have to count all the toes, make sure everything's in order. Right?
Their eyes cannot see that light, in fact.
Oh, okay, so they're blinded even by that.
Yeah.
All right, this is Krishna Lila, For the accentuation of that particular Lila, Krishna can do anything he wants. He does it to Yashoda quite regularly, right? She looks in his mouth more than one time, it happened.
2 times.
And, she's completely short-circuited by what she saw. So, Krishna's, actually the Janma Leela is one of the most fascinating of all the Lord's Leelas. It is so fascinating and so, complex and so deep and so mysterious. Big topic.
Yes.
Anyway, so Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami, sometimes he describes things also a little differently than in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Because, eyewitness account, everybody sees things differently, right?
Yes.
Just like, just like you come to Srimad Bhagavatam class, if you ask somebody to summarize what was it about, they're all going to say something a little different, right? Because everybody has his own unique perspective. So that's Jiva Goswami's perspective. All glories to Jiva Goswami. All right. Anything else? Otherwise, it's getting late, I think. Okay, one last question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Prabhuji, regarding the Guru issue that you have mentioned, as it is very well known also, when the Guru is satisfied, Krishna is satisfied. But I'm just giving you a situation where, presenting a situation where the Guru is giving a certain instructions to the disciple, and the disciple has all the high regards for his Guru and love him and consider him as his own, the only spiritual master, but due to certain weakness or due to certain condition that he is not able to particularly follow one particular instructions, and if he is being said or by other devotees that for this reason your Guru will reject you forever, what destiny that disciple has in that particular situation when he is not has any disregard, or he want to follow his Guru's instruction, but due to certain condition particular he is not able to follow one particular thing? What destiny this person has?
Okay, well, destiny is, of course, that's between him and Krishna, and whatever the actual situation is between him and Krishna. If, as you say, he's fully faithful and trying his best, then he should have an auspicious destination. As far as the God brothers who are saying otherwise, well, I guess you have to consider the spiritual magnitude of those God brothers. Maybe you can consider that as a possibility. Here's the thing. God brothers, they're a great help for us, and they can be a great problem for us. We've all experienced this. So, at the end of the day, it's not your God brothers who are taking you back to Godhead. It's your spiritual master. So he is the one that you have to be right with. And if there's any lack of clarity or any uncertainty or doubt about this, then you have to go and approach your spiritual master for clarification of that, assuming that the spiritual master is physically present. Really, like we said, yasya hi prasadat bhagavat prasado. It's not the God brothers so much. And God brothers always fight, and God brothers always see each other as peers, and that goes on, and sometimes God brothers are very helpful, but you have to use your own discrimination in that. Is that clear? Okay? You're looking like maybe not 100%. All right, silence means affirmation. And with that, we will conclude. You wanted to add one more final comment? Or are you raising your hand to get your glasses? No, okay. Koi baat nahi. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.